Hello everybody and welcome to another mystery box function challenge. In the purple mystery box there is some math and your challenge is to figure out what it is. You can use the link in the description if you want to try this out on your own, and when you've got an idea, come on back and see if we get the same thing. All right, let's start with a 0. Okay, 0 gives us 0. How about a 1? 1 gives us 2. How about a 3? Oh, 3 gives us not a number. So that is an error that we most often see with square root functions. Let's just keep going a little bit more in the positive direction. 4 is also not a number. How about 8? Also not a number. Okay, well, let's go back in the negatives then. And I think now you're starting to see the shape of the curve, and it looks like it might be upside down and reflected across it flipped over across the y-axis and then shifted over a little bit as well. Let's continue in the negative direction. Okay, how about a -3? That gave us a whole number. How about a -4? Okay, so I think you can see this shape. That curve of the square root function starts out fairly steep and then gets shallower and shallower as we go on. In this case, it's been flipped upside down, and usually what that means is that you've got a negative sign on the outside of the thing. So we're going to have some kind of radical sign with stuff going on inside it and then stuff outside. There's going to be a negative sign. I also think there's going to be a multiplier, because if this is our 0 point where what's under the radical sign equates to 0, then 1 unit away it's actually moved 2 in the y direction, a -2. So I think we've got a -2 out here. That would be my hunch. Now, what do we get on the inside? So to flip it upside down and flip it left and right, you actually have to have a negative sign on the x on the inside. And this would make sense that we're getting a lot of not a number for all these positive values, because you turn the positive values negative, and then when you try to take the square root of them, you can't. So, but there's also a little bit of shifting going on here, translation. So we've moved over 1 to the right, and we've moved 2 up. So the 2 up is pretty easy. That's just a +2 outside of here. The 1 to the right, now usually when we move to the right, inside the parentheses or the radical sign, it would be a -1. Because this x is negative, it's actually going to be a +1. You could think about this as if you put parentheses around the x before the negative sign, then that would make that a -1. So I think this is the function. We should definitely test this out to make sure it works, because that's pretty complicated. So let's put in our 0 first. So -2 times -0 plus 1 square root plus 2. So this comes out to 1. The square root of 1 is 1. 1 times -2 is -2. -2 plus 2 is 0. We got a 0 there. Let's put in a 1. So -2 times the square root of -1 plus 1 plus 2. So this is 0. So all of this equates to 0, and that's just 0 plus 2, and we got a 2. Should we test out our -3 here? Let's try that. -2, -3, plus 1, and then plus 2. So a -3 is a +3. So that's +3 plus 1 is 4. So this is -2 times the square root of 4 plus 2. So that's -2, and the square root of 4 is 2 times 2 plus 2. So that's -4 plus 2 is going to equal a -2, and that's what we're getting. All right, I feel pretty confident now. We've verified this with 3 different points. Let's go ahead and take a look. Yeah, -2 times the square root of a -x plus 1 plus 2, and we can graph that as well. So you can see that shape of the square root function. It's a little steeper because of that multiplier, and then it's been flipped upside down and flipped left to right because of the negative sign outside and inside the radical sign. Well, how did that go for you? I think that was a toughie. Let me know. Thanks, everybody.